Hello, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. About me, I'm Sandeep Bhushan and my credentials are I have 8 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations, internal security and in-depth analysis of Hindu editorials and articles. And this video or this session is in regards to how to crack prelims 2020. And prior to getting into that, there is a notification in regards to Let's Crack UPSC CSE, which is India's largest learning platform. So it's in regards to the subscription, and once you go ahead with the subscription, you will have access to unlimited live and recorded courses from India's best educators. And the privileges what you would get is that you have the daily live classes wherein you can chat with your educator, engage in discussion and also be the part of the answer polls. You also have the live test and quizzes. Along with that, you have the structured courses wherein all our courses are structured in line with UPSC exam. You also have the unlimited access from mobile and from the laptop you can access. And these are all the top educators who are part of the Unacademy. Along with this, you can see it on the screen that they are all the top educators. And you also have the UPSC CSE, Let's Crack UPSC CSE, the courses. You have polity, geography, current affairs and various others. Along with that, you have governance, internal security and also essay writing and also in regards to the interview preparation. So these are all the courses in Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. And in regards to the subscription, you have the 12-month subscription and also 24-month subscription. And 12-month subscription, the price is 40,000, wherein you can use my code SBT10. Once you use my code for subscription, you will get a 10% discount, and upon that, the discounted amount would be 36,000. And you also have the 24-month subscription, that is Let's Crack UPSC channel subscription, wherein the original price is 48,000, and you can go ahead with subscribing with using my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala 10. You would get, when you use my code, 10% discount, and the discounted amount on the original price 48,000 would be 43,200. So it's always recommended that you go ahead with the 24 months, because you would be paying for 24 months only the amount what you would be paying for the 13 months. So with the amount of 13 months, you would actually get the subscription for the entire 24 months, which is always required for the UPSC civil services. Is a serious preparation. So it's go ahead with the subscription, with which is your a added advantage in regards to the option you have, that in regards to subscribing for 24 months, take the maximum benefit, and then you can view all my classes in regards to the in-depth analysis of editorials and articles, and also in regards to various other educators with various other the courses also. So now we will get into the topic, that is the Hindu, the in-depth analysis of the editorials and articles of the Hindu newspaper. And I would again once again reiterate the importance of having an analysis, in-depth analysis of editorials and articles, is that the civil servant aspirant, that is you all, will definitely have a macro level approach in regards to the prelims and also in regards to the mains. You would be having a solid understanding in regards to the analytical and also the factual base. So it is very important to have a identifying the keywords in the editorials, articles, and also in regards to the various others competitive or contemporary issues which are in the part of the newspaper. So before I get into the topic, I would say hi to the one who are watching. So hi to everyone who is watching this editorials, and then now I would get into the topic. The topics to be discussed for today is the strategic exit, and then the second topic is sanctions and pandemic, and then the third one is organizing principles. So these are the three topics wherein we'll definitely go ahead with discussing at length, which will be useful for the prelims and also mains. And then Malvika Sajivan has said hi. I would Say good evening and welcome to the in-depth analysis of editorials and articles by Sandeep Bhushan in regards to the Unacademy. So now we will get into the topic, that is the strategic exit. The editorial today, it talks about, or which has an heading called as preparing for exit. Preparing for exit. Definitely the exit is, as we all are aware, that as a lockdown is supposed to end in another a week, so it is very important for the government and the state government, that is the central and the state governments, to make sure that how would the strategic exit be, because once the exits come into action, that is once the lockdown is over, definitely there would be a clear indication that the people of the entire citizens of the country, that is 1.3 billion people, will get onto the streets. And when they get onto the streets, the importance or the main intention of the national lockdown was to make sure that the preventive measure, that is in regards to the social distancing, will be lost. So once that is lost, then again there is a possibility that the infection or the virus would be infected to many people. So once that takes place into action, again it will be very difficult to handle or make sure that we go ahead with containing the virus. So it is very important how we can go ahead with the exit, and then the government, that is the central government and the state government, along with the prime minister and then the union cabinet ministers and the chief ministers across the country, various, I mean all the chief ministers are definitely getting into the mode of action, that how brainstorming is going ahead, how the strategic exit has to be. And then I would say Madhu also is joined. I would say good evening to Madhu. Hi to Madhu. And also hi to everyone who is, what do you say, part of this I mean the topic which wherein they are listening. So this is in regards to the strategic exit what we are discussing, and then it is called as a calibrated exit. Definitely there would be a strategy which would actually come into existence, and they are all brainstorming. Everyone is brainstorming, everyone in the sense I'm talking about the prime minister and the cabinet minister along with the various states chief ministers, they are going ahead with the brainstorming, that how the strategic exit has to take place, making sure that the health crisis has to be considered, that is the virus has to be contained. At the same time, the economy has to keep on going, the economy has to run. So it is a very calibrated strategic exit, wherein we need to focus on health, we need to also focus on economy. So this will definitely, what you say, reduce the risk of withdrawal from lockdown, will depend on prioritized action. So what is the brainstorming is going on is that definitely they will look into what is the priority now when the lockdown comes to an end. So on what basis the lockdown has to take place, what are the priorities, and which actions have to be given more priority, so that the social distancing is definitely taken into consideration. Please do understand here, the priority should be taken into such a way that the social distancing will be definitely taken into consideration, and that is very very important in regards to the exit or after the national lockdown. And we will definitely look at what are the challenges now, wherein the government, central government and the state governments will definitely face once the national lockdown is, what do you say, lifted or withdrawn. So definitely now the challenge is in regards to the how we need to go ahead with normalizing the situation. So definitely the situation is not normal because of the lockdown. Yes, lockdown is making sure that we are trying to contain the spread of virus, but at the same time there is a, what do you say, urgency that unemployment has raised, and this unemployment has to be handled, that is in regards to the amount of work or the jobs lost, and then the income and the saving, everything has to be taken into consideration. So the challenge is in regards to the normalizing the situation of the daily life, wherein it is very important that they have to go ahead with the oiling the wheels of the economy. That means the economy, whatever is at a standstill at this moment, they should make sure that the economy will further, what you say, prosper. And then for that prosper, how the following steps have to be taken, that is in regards to the priority of the action has to be taken into consideration. So that is a challenge. So what are the priorities of the people will be brainstormed, and then they will go ahead with the priorities. And wherever there are hotspots, if they are identified the hotspots of the coronavirus, hotspots of the coronavirus, probably the priority action would come into existence, wherein they might not lift the lockdown. They would continue the lockdown in that particular areas, because that is a challenge. Once the lockdown is lifted, then the people that is in the hotspot areas of the coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2, they would further again spread the virus very violent, and that is again a cause for the health crisis. And the second one is in regards to the, we have seen the what is the challenges. The strategy will definitely or has to look into the exodus of migrant workers. So this is very important. That means the kind of movement, the kind of migration is happening by the migrant laborers because of the national lockdown. And once the national lockdown is lifted, when the national lockdown has been what do you say come into existence, is a problem. Again, now if the national lockdown is lifted or the it is exited, then again the people that is the migrant workers or the laborers will further again get from the respective villages where they have been now or where they have gone now. They will again come back to the cities for the works, so that now they are under unemployment, they do not have jobs. So definitely again the thronging of people or the what do you say entire migrant laborers will get into these cities, towns again for the search of the jobs. That is also again a very important challenge, wherein that is in front of the government, and that is what is very important to have a check on it, how this will take place. And I would say hi to everyone who are watching this once again. And then if you have any doubts, please let me know so that we will try to clarify it. And now, as we know, this is a harvest season, and this also what you say is very important to handle this situation, because the harvest season is totally dependent on the labor. The harvest season is totally dependent on the labor, and as the labor is now at the because of the lockdown, there is a shortage of the labor. But once the lockdown will be lifted, then definitely there would be people thronging in to go ahead with the having the activity or have some kind of what you say job or income through the by the harvesting seasons by as a labor. So that if it is going ahead, then it's good. And if there is a harvest season, that is if the activity is stopped, I'm saying this calibrated exit. In the calibrated exit, if the government has decided that, I'm saying if the government has decided that, if the laborers or what do you say, the movement of the laborers, migrant laborers from the one state to the another state, if it is stopped and they are not allowed to get into the what do you say labors in the harvest seasons or post harvesting, then it could trigger again, that is a problem, it could trigger food deficits, and then the food items or the provisions would again soar up, the prices will definitely start raising. That is again a challenge. So it is very important that how calibrated the exit would be, because taking into consideration, as I have emphasized here, keyword prioritized action. What is a priority is very important. Priority in regards to the harvest season, priority in regards to the making sure that the oiling of the wheels of the economy takes into consideration, priority that the migrant workers will also get job. If anything is not taken into consideration as per the what you said demand of the migrant laborers that they wanted jobs, then it will be again a problem or a challenge. Now we will look at the measures. We have seen the challenges, what will or what might what you say come up if the lockdown is lifted without looking into the priority or the priority actions are not taken into consideration, then definitely there would be challenges. Now we will definitely focus on the measures, wherein these measures will definitely give you an idea how best we can write your answer when it is asked in the mains examination. So the challenges and measures, if you have this total control of the entire what is a topic, then any question which is asked analytically even in the prelims, you will be able to answer the question. And now the measure is to make sure that they identify the hotspots, and once they identify the hotspot, then there has to be a virtual lockdown. That means even though the other parts of the country is lifted by the national lockdown, or they have been what is a strategic exit, but identifying the hotspot and then going out to the virtual lockdown, so that the people who are affected in that area will not spread the virus. And then they would require the what is other measure is there should be a planned human measures to ensure food and essential commodities along with the medicines have to be provided to the one who are again under virtual lockdown. Please do understand this. One of the measure is to identify the hotspots, and then those hotspots should be put under still lockdown, but still it should be in a very planned and human measures, wherein the people who are in the entire vicinity of the hotspot areas have to be provided with the food and essential commodities, along with the essential commodities, the medicines. So this is very important. That is one of the measures, so that people will not be totally affected, and we have to make sure that there are no mass gathering and long distance travel, and also any leisure activity, because once the lockdown is lifted, there would be certainly the attitude of the, what do you say, people, that they would get into the mass gathering, or social distancing is, what do you say, the intention of the social distancing is lost, and then people move very freely thinking that everything is fine. But we have seen that asymptomatic cases, that means the one who is normal healthy person also, until unless tested, he or she is not, what do you say, known that he is by any kind of symptoms, that means asymptomatic. So test is important. So in that case, mass gatherings, long distance travel, and leisure activities should all be, what do you say, stopped. And the India has, what do you say, the government has identified 284 districts wherein they have been affected, and this should be as an institute a system of testing. So once this entire hotspots have been identified, so what is the importance of this is the government has to go ahead with the tracing, testing, and treatment. So these three T's, as I keep on repeating in each class, these three T's have to be into existence, have to be into, what is a force, that they go ahead with the testing, and testing has to be done. So once the testing is been done on the identified hotspot, that is the 284 districts, then definitely we can make sure that the kind of surveillance samples by the testing which goes ahead will enable the targeting and containment of the specific areas. That means the virus will not spread virulent to any other part, or the next hotspot will not be created. So we can make sure that the prime importance or the necessity at this moment is to make up or to increase or to scale up the testing. This is very important. And then who is the one who is actually an advisory body, that is the ICMR, is the one which goes ahead with identifying the clusters and the migration centers, wherein they will be also working as a part of the exit strategy along with the union and the central government, that is with the prime minister, union cabinet ministers, and also with the chief ministers together. ICMR also will be part of the exit strategy, because it is the ICMR which will go ahead with the testing, treating, and also in regards to the how to trace is also part of the government machinery. So tracing, testing, and then treatment will be going ahead. So ICMR is also part of the exit strategy. So these are the points which we have discussed, which will be, what do you say, strategic exit or calibrated exit. So this could be again from analytical point of view, for prelims point of view, and then from the mains point of view. So any queries, please let me know, the one who is watching this video, and I will just hold on for a couple of seconds, or else we'll just move on to the next topic. Just say carry on, sir, or else if you have any doubts, please key in the chat box, so that I will go ahead with trying to explain. Because what is important, what we have seen is the prioritized action. We have looked into migrant labors, we have looked into harvest season, we have looked into oiling the wheels of the economy. Carry on, sir. Okay, Madhu says carry on, sir. Okay, fine, I'll carry on. And then we have also seen in regards to the identifying the hotspots. So these are all, what do you say, the keywords, and then making sure that the testing has to be conducted. So these are the one which are actually, what do you say, we have looked into. Now we will go ahead with the kind of testing what the other countries have gone at. Just for information sake, I'll give you, as we have seen that China, South Korea, and Singapore have opted enhanced testing, and they have gone ahead with isolation, and then they have made a stricter quarantine, and these are the important measures which also to be, what is looked into it. And then they have also gone ahead with free and widely available testing. Even the government here, I mean, there were various petitions filed by the petitioners that in the Supreme Court, that the testing has to be done in the by free, even not only in the government hospitals or the government run laboratories, but even in the private laboratories, because in the private laboratories per testing they are charging around 4,500 rupees. So even there has to be a free of the testing which has to be available. And urban mobility of workers is very important, because in the absence of the transport, what happens is the measure which what one of the measure is to encourage the bicycles. This is very important again when you're writing an answer in the mains. So this keyword is very important, encouraging bicycles so that avoiding congestion. Please do understand the point here, that we in this urban mobility, that is wherein you have the workers, they have to work and then they have to use the what is a public transport. So when there is an absence of public transport, please do understand, when there is an absence of public transport, then it is very necessary that one of the measure you would also put forward while you are writing an answer is that you say that the government has to encourage the bicycles, wherein that would be making sure that it would avoid congestion. And now we'll get into the next topic, that is sanctions and pandemic. So what are the, we know what is pandemic and we also know what is sanctions. Sanctions are the one which are imposed, that you should not do this, that, fine. So in that regards, we will look at what is that is happening in regards to the pandemic and what are the sanctions. So definitely this is a second editorial which has come up in today's newspaper, that is in regards to sanctions and pandemic. So this very clearly states that Iran is reeling under pressure. Iran is reeling under pressure because it is under sanctions. It is under sanctions by the US. So we will look at everything about what is actually the Iran facing because of the pandemic. Now because of the pandemic, but prior to pandemic, that is SARS-CoV-2, which has what do you say hit badly across the country, across the globe. Also prior to that, even Iran was what do you say reeling under pressure. There was a crisis in Iran. So we will look at all that, which will be very useful for the prelims and also for the mains point of view. And then the supreme leader of Iran is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He is a supreme leader, and then wherein recently has made a statement that in regards to the crisis what the US has imposed sanctions, and not only on the crisis of the US imposed sanctions, and also in regards to the pandemic also, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, has made a statement that the Iran has the capability to face or overcome the crisis and challenges, and it will move out in a very positive way. So it says that it has the capability to overcome the crisis and the challenges. That was a statement made by the supreme leader of Iran, that is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But what is in reality is that is not the point. I mean, that statement doesn't hold good at this moment, because the crisis and the challenge which the Iran is facing is what do you say at a very negative way, that it is unable to recap. I mean, it is unable to make sure that it moves out of the situation wherein it is reeling under economic crisis. So we will look at the different part of the what actually Iran is being what is affected. So Iran is the hardest hit by the pandemic in West Asia. So as we know that China was the epicenter, that is Wuhan, and then later on Southeast Asia, and then again it was West Asia, and then Middle East, and then Europe, and then USA. And then when it has hit West Asia, it was the Iran which was very badly hit because of the pandemic. And then we have seen that there were around 62,589 infectious patients, and out of that we have seen 3,739 mortality rate, that is the deaths. So earlier to pandemic itself, it was reeling under what is economic crisis. Again with the pandemic, that is SARS-CoV-2, it is the hardest hit country in the West Asia. And now we will what is look at it very keenly, how it is really what is being hit, for what reasons. And now the government was what do you say initially reluctant, because when the pandemic has struck the West Asia, the country, the Iran, did not go ahead with the what do you say kind of measures to go ahead with the drastic restrictions so that they can contain the virus. But they haven't gone for any kind of drastic restrictions, and the business was as usual, and all the religious establishment and the people were what do you say moving ahead, moving across, or they were doing the jobs as usual. The business was as usual in regards to business point of view, religious, and also in regards to the people. So as it was as usual, so that has created, as it was initially reluctant and did not go ahead with strict measure, the spread of virus has taken place very virulent in West Asia, that is in Iran. So now because of that, infections which are spreading at an exponential pace, that means the virus is spreading very fast. When the virus is spreading very fast, now they have understood that that the Iran has understood that it is imperative for them to go ahead with understanding or focusing on the Iran's healthcare system. And now the situation has become so bad that the crisis, that they are being hit by the crisis, and also they are hit by the cash trapped. That means they do not have the what is a liquidity, and then the crisis, that is the health crisis, they have the economic crisis, and then there is also a point that they are isolated regime struggled by to meet people's needs. That means the kind of what you say the supreme leaders, that is which is orthodox, and also in regards to the kind of government which is not actually going ahead with understanding the unemployment of the youth, and also in regards to the inflation rate with the Iran is facing because of the economic crisis, and now with the health crisis. That is the major impact which is going on in regards to the Iran. And now we will come to the point of what the editorial talks. And what the editorial talks is that there are sanctions. So sanctions on whom? Sanctions on Iran. Iran by whom? That is by America. So America has gone ahead with reimposing sanctions on Iran. Fine. So now America has refused to ease sanctions on Iran. So actually Iran was also going ahead with asking for the funds by the International Monetary Fund, and also asking the America to release or ease sanctions on Iran. But America has refused to ease sanctions on Iran. Why sanctions and all that, I will let you know. I will let you know for what reasons the sanctions have come into existence, or why sanctions on Iran. We will discuss at length. But as of now, in regards to this, the America has refused to ease sanctions, and because they have refused to ease sanctions, now the Iran is struggling very hard to contain the novel coronavirus spread. And as they have the limited resources, that is in regards to the health infrastructure, and also in regards to the economic the money, the economic resources also, they have very less. So as they are struggling in regards to both the health infrastructure and also in regards to economic crisis is going on, so that is also a kind of concern wherein it would lead to humanitarian situation in Iran because of the America's refusal to ease sanctions. Because at this moment, yes, whatever Iran has gone ahead with, and then America has imposed sanctions on Iran, accepted. Individual countries' point of view, accepted. But when the situation is going out of control, when the humans are being, I mean, there are so many death cases. So it is very important for America to understand the situation, the struggling condition, or the struggle, the hard phase wherein the Iran is going ahead or it is experiencing because of the novel coronavirus spread. So America has to actually, what do you say, ease the sanctions. But it is not easing the sanctions, and in return what is happening is humanitarian crisis situation is evolving in the Islamic Republic state, that is in Iran. And now we will get into the why the sanctions or the impact of sanctions. So as we have seen that last year, that is in the, what do you say, last year in the sense almost 1.5 years back, in 2018, US President Donald Trump has pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. Please do understand here. In 2018, US has pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. I will also explain all that Iran nuclear deal, why it has taken place, why it has again, what you say, come out of it, all that I'll explain. So it has pulled out of the, US has pulled out, Trump has pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, and then US has reimposed the sanctions on Iran. Please do understand. Donald Trump, US President, has pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, in 2018, and then US has reimposed the sanctions on Iran, and that decision was unilaterally by US. Please do understand this. The reimposing of sanctions on Iran by US President Donald Trump was unilaterally, and this decision, which has been taken unilaterally by the president, that is Donald Trump, has shaken the economy of, what do you say, Iran, and now it has come down to a standing halt. Entire economy has come down to a standing halt, and not only in regards to the, what do you say, imposing of sanctions, and also now because of the fall in oil prices, the prices have come down drastically, and that is again very badly hitting negatively on the economy of the Iran, because Iran also goes ahead with exporting oil, and that is what is a major junk in regards to the having or contributing to the Iran's economy. And because of fall in oil prices, the economy has been badly hit because of the reimposing of sanctions by US Donald Trump unilaterally on Iran. The economic crisis is being hit, and not only these two, but also the new one, that is the pandemic, because of the SARS-CoV-2. It is a multiplied Iran's woes. So please do understand this phrase. It is a multiplied Iran's woes. That means it is the crisis which the Iran is experiencing is very bad at this situation, because one is in regards to the imposing of sanctions by Trump, the fall in oil prices, and the third one is in regards to the pandemic, that is SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is spread very violent, and that has hit even the health infrastructure very badly, and many death cases have taken place. And the sanctions have also debilitated in the sense hampered or impaired the ability to import humanitarian goods. Why? Because because of the economic sanctions put by US, many of the countries are not having any kind of import export with Iran, because any country which gets into the import or the trade with Iran, that country, again on that country, US will go ahead with what you say imposing the sanctions on that X country which has what you say trade with Iran. So that is again making a problem to the Iran, that no other country is coming forward to help in regards to the humanitarian goods, and this at this situation it lacks the resources to make purchases also. So that is a condition wherein Iran is facing a very critical crisis at this moment, and the whole and sole responsibility is the sanctions. That is why the heading of the editorial was sanctions and pandemic. And then many global banks, not only the countries, as I've said, many global banks, that is in regards to WMF or WB, IMF, it could be Asian Development Bank also, they are fearing, please do understand this word, fearing US retaliation and legal consequences if these banks again goes ahead with doing business with the Iran, so that Iran will have some kind of functional payment mechanism. That is what Iran is expecting from the global banks, that they will have some kind of functional payment mechanism wherein they can have the resources to make purchases, so that they can have resources to make purchases, and this will what you say make sure that the humanitarian goods or the essential goods which are required will be put in place for the crisis which is taking place at now. But because of the sanctions by the US, not only the countries are coming forward to go ahead with the trade with Iran, but also the global banks are also not coming forward. They are fearing that there would be an US retaliation and legal consequences on the global banks because of the economic sanctions. So no country is coming forward. So now this is a challenge. This is a situation what is Iran is facing because of the sanctions. Now we will look at the, is there any kind of way forward that this deadlock or impasse will what do you say have some kind of ray of hope at the end of the tunnel, that there could be a possibility that the Iran which is reeling under crisis, that is pandemic and also sanctions, there would be some kind of solution. So what is that way forward is the US. Now if you look at the epicenter has shifted from Wuhan, that is pandemic SARS-CoV-2 epicenter has shifted from Wuhan to Southeast Asian countries to Europe, and now the epicenter is undoubtedly the US. So US is experiencing the infectious what do you say patients in regards to SARS-CoV-2, and also they have also experiencing, we should not say, I mean it should not happen, but it is the US which is experiencing most of the mortality rate, that is the death cases. So at this moment the US should understand the worry or the crisis or the woes of the Iran, because it is the US which is also going through that. No doubt the difference is because the US is the what do you say most powerful country, economically powerful, and then it is a most developed country. But in regards to the pandemic situation, US should definitely understand, because it is the US which can understand better than any other country in regards to the Iran's woes or Iran's crisis. And then US as being the world's largest economy, and also which has the gigantic healthcare industry compared to any other country, that is, it's the world's largest economy, economic stability is there, and also health infrastructure is the best in the world. But still, at this moment, because of the pandemic of the SARS-CoV-2, the country itself, that is US itself, is clueless on how to contain the virus, how to, what do you say, make sure that the spread of virus do not take place, or else how the virus is infecting, or the, to stop the infected persons from the, or individuals from the SARS-CoV-2. So being the world's largest economy and having a gigantic healthcare infrastructure and having many, what is it, death cases, the US itself is clueless. So it is the US which can understand, it is only US which can understand the situation of Iran, which, wherein the US was the one which has imposed sanctions on the Iran. So US has to understand the situation of the crisis of Iran, at least under humanitarian condition. Forget about, what you say, the way the Iran has gone ahead with nuclear test and all that. That has to be kept aside at this moment. But still, under, at least under humanitarian conditions, the US has to ease the economic sanctions on the Iran. And Washington should have suspended or at least eased the sanctions on Iran, at least on the basic amenities, that is on the food, medicines, and the other humanitarian goods, which are essential goods. So at least if they're not, what do you say, asking or making sure that the various countries or the banks, various global banks, have some kind of financial mechanism, easing of the financial mechanism with the Iran, but at least Washington should go ahead with producing or providing the food, medicine, and other humanitarian goods to Iran. And this situation, the Trump, that is the US president, should take this humanitarian decision of this situation, what is going on, and he should resume the diplomatic engagement. Because now, because of, what you say, US, Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran's nuclear deal unilaterally, Mr. Trump, that is the US president, has a chance at this moment, as an, what do you say, a probability at this moment, that he should take up this humanitarian crisis situation or humanitarian decision to resume, to again start the diplomatic engagement. So this is what the, what do you say, the developed country or the economically very developed country has to come forward, and then they have to make sure that the economic, the crisis or the humanitarian conditions have to be taken into consideration. That is the way forward from the US, that is from Mr. Trump. And the way forward from Iran is that Iranian leadership should realize that this is not the time for America bashing. Because if you look at, there are many, what you say, within the Iranian government, and also in regards to the supreme leaders there, also make up the statement that they are ready to go ahead with the tit for tat, and they are, what you say, totally ready, and then they can have that kind of America bashing onto the America. So that is not really required at this moment, and that is what the way forward to Mr. Trump in regards to engaging or resuming the diplomatic engagement, and in the Iranian leaderships not going ahead with any kind of, what is abusing the America and then hurting their sentiment, so that the easing of sanctions do not take place. And Iranians need help at this moment, definitely. And the US should consider its policy. What policy is that? Sanctioning of, or else it's US foreign policy towards Iran. Please do understand here. US should consider its foreign policy towards Iran of punishing them, at least at the time of pandemic, considering humanitarian crisis, considering under humanitarian condition. It has to go ahead, what do you say, the US foreign policy has to be in a different or in a renewed fashion. So I hope you all have understood the point, and now we'll get into the what actually the Iran nuclear deal is. What actually the Iran nuclear deal is. And then it was in the year 2015. It was in the year 2015, Iran has agreed for a long-term deal, that is the nuclear deal with P5 plus 1 countries. So P5 plus 1 countries are, the 5 countries are US, UK, France, China, Russia, and the one is the Germany. So this is again very important for prelims in regards to the when the question is in what is say again the sanctions, the way the West Asian Islamic Republic or Islamic country of West Asia, that is the Iran, is facing the health and economic crisis because of the sanctions at the time of pandemic situation. Based on that, if a question is asked internationally, then it could be on the Iran nuclear deal. So this deal has taken place in the year 2015 by P5 plus 1 countries, that is US, UK, France, China, Russia and Germany. That is why I was saying repeatedly, I was emphasizing on US has reimposed the sanctions on Iran, or it has pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal and it has reimposed the economic sanctions unilaterally. I was mentioning word unilaterally. This word unilaterally. Why I was mentioning this word unilaterally? Because it was not a deal, or it was not an what do you say, nuclear deal which was between Iran and US. No, this deal is not between Iran and US. This deal is, or else the nuclear deal is between Iran and P5 plus 1 countries. Please do understand this. This is very very important for analytical point of view in regards to the prelims point of view. So Iran plus, that is Iran versus P5 plus 1 country. That is what it is taken. It hasn't considered the what is it, the rest P5 rest 5 countries, that is US, that is sorry UK, France, China, Russia and Germany. But it has gone ahead with reimposing the sanctions. And actually when the nuclear deal has taken place, it was the president of US was Barack Obama when the nuclear deal has taken place. So Barack Obama always wanted a better diplomatic engagement to be taken up by the West Asian countries, or from the with the countries wherein they were actually going ahead with the nuclear reactors or nuclear what do you say processing was taking place. So he wanted to go ahead with a better deal. So Barack Obama has gone ahead with the deal, but again in regards to the Donald Trump, he has come out of the deal. And then now May 8, 2020 will mark this second anniversary wherein US has withdrawn from the P5 plus countries or the Iran nuclear deal. And this Iran nuclear deal is also called as, again this is very important for prelims point of view, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Please to understand, this is also Iran nuclear deal is also what you say called as Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So according to that, what you said, this deal, Iran has accepted that it will stop all the nuclear programs, and it has also agreed to limit its nuclear activities, and also it has agreed, because of this nuclear deal in 2015, it has agreed that international inspectors, that is IAEA, International Agency of all these international inspectors can be what do you say get into the nuclear activities or nuclear programs. They can go ahead with checking whether it is being used only for the what do you say nuclear program, or any kind of what do you say material, or in regards to the making ahead with any kind of nuclear activities which is again a cause of concern, that is in regards to the nuclear test if they are going ahead. So international inspectors, they have agreed that they can go ahead with inspecting the nuclear activities also. And then Iran has also gone ahead with accepting these inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency. So you have an agency that is called as International Atomic Energy Agency. This is again important for prelims point of view. Which among the following is or inspects the nuclear activities in all the countries, not only in regards to Iran but in all the countries? That is International Atomic Energy Agency is the one which goes ahead with inspecting. And then this has limited, that is the Iran nuclear deal has limited Iran to enrich uranium, because once you go ahead with enriching the uranium, definitely you can go ahead with what you say making sure that you have this nuclear activities or nuclear test which can be conducted. So by the Iran nuclear deal, Iran has also accepted that it will not go ahead with enriching the uranium, and it would be limited Iran's heavy water stockpile. So it was very clearly accepted that because of the nuclear deal, they have also what you say gone ahead with making sure that they will also come down little bit. They will also make sure that they will not go ahead with any kind of nuclear or uranium enrichment. And you have a, what you say a place called as Fordo, wherein underground facility was going ahead in regards to the uranium enrichment. Because of this, you can what you say look at the picture also here. You have the Tehran or you have this Fordo. Fordo is what? Fordo is the one which, as per the deal, it was converted from fuel enrichment to technology enrichment. This is again very important for prelims point of view. What is Fordo? Fordo facility. Fordo is the one which is a place wherein earlier it was what you say it was converted from fuel enrichment. There the fuel enrichment was taking place, but because of the Iran nuclear deal, now it is not a fuel enrichment center, but it is a technology center now. And then you have another one place called as Arak, wherein a planned heavy water reactor redesigned to avoid production of weapons grade plutonium. So now again this is a place wherein they have gone ahead with a avoiding the production of weapons grade plutonium. So again you have the Natanz area, which is again this is important in regards to the prelims point of view, wherein he can give the map and then he would ask you which places please identify. Please you understand the way I am trying to link it even for the prelims point of view. He can ask you the place Natanz, he can ask you the place Fordo, and then Arak, and also Isfahan, because these are the one, or and also in regards to the Bonab. Bonab is a place wherein it is a research institute, and the green one, whatever you have, are all the enrichment of the energy institutes. And then in regards to the what do you say, this red one, Bandar Abbas, it is the uranium mine. And regards to the yellow one, that is Parachin or Parchin, this is a military complex. So based on the what is a map based in the geography, because of the what you say the sanctions imposed on China, there could be a question framed in the prelims wherein he could give the places and ask you to what you say map it, which places are this and which what you say they are into research or enrichment energy or uranium mine or military, and then wherein they are what you say what kind of activities goes on there. So this is all in regards to the uranium enrichment, and then in regards to the Iran nuclear deal. But what has happened is, but Iran nuclear deal was good. They have accepted. And once they have accepted, Barack Obama under his, what do you say, when he was the president of US, the economic sanctions were lifted on Iran. And then because once the economic sanctions were lifted, again slowly many of the countries started having, what is a trade with the Iran. And then Iran's economy was also slowly flourishing along with the economy of the Iran, even in regards to the job creation, or else in regards to the employment generation also was taking. And then there was a bit of what you say console to the even the youth in the Iran, that is the Iran youth was also what you say getting into the job mode. And then there was many opportunities provided because of the trade which was happening because of the lift of the economic sanctions. But we have seen again what do you say once the Iran has lifted all restrictions in 2019, when because in 2018 US has gone ahead with reimposing the sanctions. Once the US has reimposed the sanctions on Iran, again that is in the year 2018 when US has pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal unilaterally. Then again in July 2019 Iran has lifted all restrictions and it has gone ahead with enrichment of uranium and heavy water. So when they are going ahead with the enrichment of uranium and then the heavy water, it is very clear that they will go ahead with the nuclear test. And that is again a cause of concern to US, because the countries which are repeatedly going ahead with the nuclear test are, we have seen this now in regards to our discussion, that is Iran, and the other one is, anyone can answer this, along with Iran, who is the one who is also repeatedly going ahead with the nuclear test, because the entire world is going ahead with the or reeling under pandemic, but we have seen one country which is conducting the test. Which is that country? Can anyone please go ahead? Please key in. And then even IAEA, that is International Atomic Energy, has also identified 3 sites in Iran wherein they have stored undeclared nuclear material. Again, this is very important, that the IAEA, that is, which is the International Atomic Energy, which inspects. Yes, Madhu has said North Korea, absolutely. It is the North Korea which actually goes ahead with the, what you say, enriching of uranium and then the heavy water stockpile, which is required or which is essential for the nuclear testing or the missile testing, and this goes ahead with Iran also is going ahead with this. And then IAEA has identified 3 sites which the Iran is going ahead with the stored undeclared nuclear materials, and this is the one which is a cause of concern to the US, and probably this is making the US President Donald Trump that he be little, what do you say, harsh on Iran in regards to the easing of sanctions onto the Iran. And this, please go ahead, these sites are very important in regards to the prelims point of view. You might just, what you say, skip this, but I'm saying prelims, I'm talking about again geography, not in regards to international. Please do understand, it is not in regards to the international news, but it is in regards to the geography, that is in regards to the map based question for the prelims point of view. So please do try to get this, and these are the one which are actually getting into all this, wherein Iran is reeling under economic crisis, and that is the one which is the cause of concern. And due to these reasons, US has to go ahead with easing of economic sanctions. If it doesn't go ahead with the easing of economic sanctions, then it would be a problematic to Iran, not only Iran, but the jobs, or the, what do you say, the kind of unemployment ratio which will increase in Iran will be skyrocketing, and the prices will increase, and then further humanitarian crisis or humanitarian, what do you say, issues take place. Once that goes into action, then again there would be mass, what do you say, people gathering, and then law and order situation will go out of control. Once this situation, law and order situation, goes out of control, then definitely there is a point of uh, point in going ahead with the people will come onto the streets, and again there would be a revolution which would take place, and that would go ahead with the revolt against the government, that is in against the Iranian government, and that would lead a kind of situation which is not at all right. And the kind of economic sanctions the Iran goes ahead with imposing on various other countries, because now we have seen the imposing of economic sanctions on Iran. The same way US has imposed economic sanctions on North Korea, and also recently we have seen even on Russia. But still Russia has tried, what do you say, try to overcome the economic sanctions, because Russia had a very good rapport with the China, and China and Russia together had maintained that trade between both the countries, and then Russia hasn't felt any kind of impact because of the economic sanctions on Russia. The reason why US has imposed, or else UN has imposed, along with UN and US, they have imposed economic sanctions on Russia, because Russia has gone ahead with annexing the Crimea Peninsula from the Ukraine country, from the country Ukraine, in the year 2000, what is it, 16. So when Russia has annexed the peninsula of Ukraine country, that is Crimea, Crimea, Crimea country, or Crimea, I mean, some of them pronounce it as Crimea. So when they have gone ahead with annexing, so they have gone ahead with imposing the economic sanctions. UN has imposed, and also US has imposed. So US goes ahead with imposing these economic sanctions, because once the economic sanctions are imposed, please take it into consideration that any country, it is what the discussion what we are going ahead is in regards to the Iran, but most of the countries, I mean, if you keep aside the North Korea and then Russia, they're not much impacted economically. But if you look at many other countries across the world, wherein US goes ahead or UN goes ahead with imposing economic sanctions, so that will really create a problem to the unemployment, to the inflation, and also to the economy, and this will further leads to the, what you say, total political instability in the country. Probably US is looking at that political instability which might occur because of this, what do you say, the economic crisis and the health crisis because of the pandemic which the Iran is facing. Once the economic instability occurs or prevails in Iran, then definitely US will get into the internal affairs of the Iran, and then it will definitely support the opposition, which are opposition parties, and then it will support the opposition party, and then they will make sure that they form the government with the help of the US. So definitely, virtually again, US will try to interfere in the Iran or any other country as such, wherein because of imposing of the economic sanctions, there are possibility that the uh, economic instability and the political instability which occurs, and then there is a possibility and there is a necessity and possibility for the US to intervene into the internal affairs of Iran, and then they would again virtually go ahead with trying to control the entire government in Iran. So this is what the entire nexus, what the US goes ahead with imposing the sanctions on Iran and also else many other countries, because these kind of restrictions, these kinds of sanctions are the one which the US is trying to go ahead with having hegemony, that is domination over many developing countries across the world. And then even US is also, I mean, trying to even have that kind of hegemony even onto the, that is India, but India is definitely trying to handle it very balanced way with its foreign policy and with its diplomatic relations. It is trying to balance it very, it is fine tuning the entire situation, and then it is trying to come out with a positive solution wherein India is not having that kind of sanctions or any kind of retaliations from US onto India. I'll add just one point here. When India has said that we require in regards to pandemic, that we required the hydrochloro that anti-malaria drug anti-malaria drug, wherein they, it is very important for what you say India. When they said that we will not go ahead with exporting, then US has immediately said that we require it, and if India is not going, not when importing us or it is not exporting to us, then we will go ahead with the retaliation. And this word called as retaliation, again immediately the US, I mean the External Affairs Ministry, that is from Indian side, they have said that okay fine, we will go ahead with the uh, uh, sending or importing or exporting the drug, anti-malarial drug to US. So that kind of what you say hegemony the US goes ahead with even to Iran, and now even in regards to the US. So these are the points which are very very important what I have discussed in regards to the sanctions on pandemic because of the editorials, and then linking it with the kind of economic crisis, health crisis in Iran, and then in regards to Iran nuclear deal, and then how what you say we have looked at this map, how this could be useful for your prelims point of view in regards to the geography map based. So any questions, please let me know. Any questions, please let me know before I wind up the session. And in regards to the Malvika, definitely Malvika, you have made a point yesterday. I will definitely go ahead with the topic in a couple of days. Please give me what you say a little bit of breath, because I'm actually into these editorials and all this. Once I have little bit of time, I will take up. Definitely, I'll take up in our what you say 7 to 8 session itself. And I hope this what you say entire session was informative, knowledgeable, and then which will definitely be useful for the prelims, analytical, factual, and also in regards to the mains point of view. And then I request you all to go ahead with uh, liking the video, subscribe the video, and then hit the bell button for the further notification when you are watching the video, that is Let's Crack UPSC CSE English channel. And if you haven't subscribed for the Let's Crack UPSC CSE English channel, please do subscribe with using my code SBT10, that is Sandeep Bhushan Thummala. Please do subscribe for 24 months, because you will get, I mean, when you are going ahead with subscribing for 24 months, actually practically you are paying for only 13 months, that is 12 months plus 1 month, but because of the offer you will get the same amount you will be subscribing for 24 months. Please do use my code, that is SBT10 Sandeep Bhushan Thummala, for 10% discount on the 24 months, wherein the actual price is 48,000, and through the discount of 10% it would be coming down to 43,200, wherein you can watch all my what do you say classes on the Unacademy platform, that is through the special classes and also the plus classes, and not only my classes but also the all other educators classes also you can what you say view the classes. So I would thank everyone for watching the video and then going ahead with the what do you say response interactive session for the class. I thank you very much. See you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much.